For the majority of my 17 years as an entrepreneur, I have struggled to balance the need and desire to make money with the need and desire to actually positively impact others with my needs and desires to have a personally fulfilling and free life that doesn't see me sacrifice my health, my wellness, my happiness, my spiritual development, my family, my recreation, or my time for rest. And I know that I'm asking for a lot. And if you browse Twitter threads on entrepreneurship or watch most other YouTubers that talk about entrepreneurship, they're going to preach to you a message of hustling and grinding, working 18 hours a day, waking up at 4 a.m. and going straight into work and working until they fall asleep at 10 or 11 or 12 or 2 a.m. And that you're supposed to do that for years and years and years until you make it, and then maybe you can decide to let your foot off the gas. And throughout my 17-year career as an entrepreneur, that has been something I just refused to stomach. You see, I grew up with very, very strong values oriented towards family and oriented towards developing myself as an individual. And though I've been an entrepreneur since I was literally 14 years old, I never really figured out how to balance these things until very recently in my life. I spent the majority of my career working in startups and agencies and consulting for entrepreneurs in every industry and niche you could imagine, from e-commerce to HVAC, SaaS businesses, marketplace companies, e-commerce brands, and the like. I've also had an exit in 2020, and I founded an e-commerce brand called Ancient Strength in 2022. And so throughout my experiences as an entrepreneur, I have personally struggled to find and then maintain a balance of personal growth and development along with my entrepreneurial desires and visions, the goals that I have for the impact that I want to make in the world. And I have spent the majority of the last 10 years developing myself as an individual, reading every self-help book that I could get my hands on, every productivity book, every business book, every spiritual book, from ancient esoteric works to modern thoughts on spirituality and everything in between. And I began to combine all of these learnings on the business side as an operator and on the personal side as a practitioner and create frameworks, systems, tools, and processes that helped me to buy back more of my time and find ways to fulfill my life's purpose without sacrificing my children, my wife, my spiritual values, or my sanity. And that model that I'm going to share with you today, I'm calling the Holistic Model of Entrepreneurship, or the HU model for short. And ironically, I happen to love rainbows, and there happen to be 7 hues of the HU model. And so we're going to represent them with this beautiful little rainbow visualization here. Now, a little bit of additional context before we dive into the model itself and show you how to implement this in your life, which I'll mention. Make sure you stay to the end of this video because I'm going to share with you the equation that brings every single one of these levels of the model to life in your business and in your personal growth journey. But for some additional context, I have been an entrepreneurship consultant off and on for the past 10 plus years and pretty much full-time for the past 5 years. I've also run and operated coaching businesses and coaching programs on the personal side, helping people dial in their fitness, their nutrition, and their lifestyle. We ran a program inside Ancient Strength called BMS, or Body, Mind, Spirit, where we helped people have incredible transformations in their personal life through relationships, the shifting of their limiting beliefs, and of course, losing a ton of weight. I mean, we had a guy lose over 100 pounds and had plenty more lose 20, 30, 40 pounds and completely change their physique, as well as their self-confidence, their self-esteem, and their perspective on life. And one of the things that I noticed is that so many of my personal coaching clients either were entrepreneurs or wanted to be entrepreneurs, but they weren't sure how they could put all the pieces together, how they could build a business that actually matters, makes them money, isn't too risky, it doesn't take all of their time, while still being able to dial in the personal growth aspects of their life. On the flip side, the majority of my business coaching or business consulting clients had limiting beliefs, low energy and low self-esteem, and physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual issues, roadblocks and challenges, obstacles that were preventing them from being able to see their vision clearly and bring that to life. So I noticed this very interesting converging happening organically in the two worlds of my life, the personal coaching people wanting to dive further into entrepreneurship and my business consulting clients wanting to dive further into personal growth. And so as I started to mix the two worlds together, I organically developed the Hue model based on my experiences growing my own self and businesses, as well as working with many clients and customers on both the coaching and the consulting side. So that's a little bit of context for you about how I developed this model and where the model came from. So let's dive into some of these aspects of the model. And before we do that, I want to briefly tell you a little bit about who the Hue model is for. So this is how you know whether or not the Hue model is something that you should be implementing in your life. If you are somebody who is defined by their values, their morals, the impact that you want to make in the world, and not demographic traits such as your age or your gender or your marital status, then the Hue model is absolutely for you, because it is so based on the foundation of your personal vision, your personal values and convictions, and the things that you want to see created in the world, or the impact or change that you want to create in the world. If you're somebody who wants to make the world a better place without sacrificing your own sanity or your happiness or your health along the way, then this is definitely the video for you, and this is definitely the model for you. If you are somebody who doesn't want those things, then the Hue model maybe isn't a good fit for you. In fact, if you're the kind that is egotistical, if you're a douchebag, if you're an aspiring guru, if you're somebody who doesn't have a strong moral compass, doesn't really care how you make money or about the impact that you make on your customers, not just on paper, but in real life, then this is not for you. If you're somebody who believes in hustle grind culture and you want to work 18 to 20 hours a day, this is probably not the model for you to implement in your life. And if you don't value your family, your free time, and the artistic and creative output of your work, then this is probably not the model for you. So with that in mind, let's start by talking about your inner world, which comprise the 4 lower layers of the Hue model. Now, one of the things that I've learned through my personal growth journey, spiritual and otherwise, is that the person that you are on the inside is always reflected in what you create and what you receive on the outside. There's an old Hermetic axiom that says, as within, so without, as without, so within, as above, so below, as below, so above. And obviously that's got a lot of symbology in it. But one of the things that it means is that the way that you show up internally, the way that you feel about yourself, the way that you carry yourself in the world, the energy that you bring into the world dictates what you get back. And if you look at your own life and the life of other people, you will find that this principle never is out of alignment. Even if in the short term it seems like people who are faking and posturing on the internet are winning, check back in with them in 10, 20, 30 years and see how they feel then. You'll find that these people end up washed out, they end up with broken relationships, oftentimes in massive amounts of debt, and they find that the money didn't bring them the fulfillment that they were looking for. And there are countless stories of this, and I know of plenty of those people that I call friends and colleagues in my world who have made millions, tens of millions, even hundreds of millions of dollars, and found that it wasn't worth that which they sacrificed. And so this is why the Hue model begins with dialing in your inner world, because the person that you are is going to dictate the type of results that you get. Secondly, the person that you are is going to dictate the quality of your life. So by focusing on the inner world and dialing in who you are from A to Z, front to back, you position yourself as someone who can actually create in the world that which you have been purposed to create by God, by the Creator, by whatever you want to call it. So let's start by talking a little bit about the first layer of the Hue model in the inner world section, and that is the physical. Now, there's a very important reason that the physical element is the first layer of the Hue model, because every layer stacks upon the previous. To tell you a 30-second version of my healing story, it wasn't until 2019 when I finally discovered the root cause of my digestive and autoimmune illness and turned my health around that I actually began to make progress in a serious way in all of the other areas of my life. And my understanding and my experience was that by dialing in the physical aspect of myself and of my world first, I was creating a more appropriate vessel from which to execute on the higher levels of development that you'll find later on in the Hue model. So as a great example, if you're constantly inflamed, always in pain, and have terrible digestion, how much time, energy, and resource does that leave you to focus on anything else? Very little. If your brain is not getting enough oxygen, hydration, or nutrition, how can you expect to develop your mind, to feel and work with your emotions, and to connect on a spiritual level to something greater than yourself? It's very, very difficult to do that. And so dialing in the physical first allows you a 3D foundation from which to begin building the rest of yourself. And so if you are not paying attention to the physical, you should, and you should right now. So let's go through a couple of high-level bullet points. We're going to keep this brief so we can keep moving through the rest of the model, and I'll go deeper on these topics in later videos. But for now, let's just do a high-level overview of each, starting with the physical. And so what does the physical entail? What does this world encompass? It encompasses the focus on your health, your physical wellness, your exercise, diet, and rest. So this is the realm of what you're putting in your body, how you're moving your body, and how you are caring for your body. The outcome of dialing in your physical world includes increased stamina, resilience, and productivity in your day-to-day, additional self-esteem, and of course, a longer, healthier, more productive life. If you have bad knees now, but you work on them, you can start hiking more than you can currently. And those hikes bring you spiritual development, emotional regulation, mental clarity, and the connectedness with nature, with yourself, and with others that maybe you're hiking with. So there's a perfect example of how this actually plays out in the real world. What are some practical steps that you can take to dial in your physical? This one's super straightforward, very basic, very easy to be thinking about. Establish a regular fitness routine, balance your nutrition, and dial in some sort of dietary plan that suits your needs, whether that's animal-based, plant-based, or somewhere in between, and get adequate sleep, rest, and recovery. If you start with this, you're going to begin to build a physical foundation that will allow you to do more. There's a couple books I want to recommend to you in terms of further research on these topics so you can learn more and expose yourself to ideas that will help you move forward. The first book is one called Bigger, Leaner, Stronger by Mike Matthews. I don't love all of his dietary advice here, but the overall plan, the workout plans, and the methodology for increasing the quality of your physique and your health overall is very, very strong, and I recommend it as a good beginner book if you've never lifted, or you have very little experience, or you're just looking for something where you can find everything that you need in one place as it relates to your fitness. And on the nutrition side, I'm going to have to go with my boy Weston A. Price and recommend that you read Nutrition and Physical Degeneration by him, or at least the cliff notes or some summarizations of that book, because learning how humans have been eating for millennia before the advent of processed foods will really open your eyes to what's possible for you nutritionally. Again, if you have bacterial issues, digestive issues, brain fog issues, mood issues, energy issues, dialing in the physical aspects of your inner world will massively shift the opportunity for you to build a better life for yourself. So let's move on to the mental aspect of the inner world. So as you dial in the physical, you can begin to transcend and start focusing on the mental. This entails your cognitive development through learning and critical thinking. Some of the outcomes include enhanced decision-making, right? Clearer thinking, clearer and stronger ability to come up with the sorts of ideas that will actually take you where you want to go, and developing your mind and setting a routine and a habit of reading, of learning, and of actively exercising your mind is extremely important for your personal development and for the development of your business. Because remember, this model is not just about personal growth. It's about becoming the person who can build and sustain the kind of business that will give you the results and your customers the results that you desire. Some practical steps could include engaging in some sort of challenging mental activities, whether those are puzzles or Sudokus or crosswords, things that actually exercise your brain, and of course, continuing to educate yourself every day, whether that's YouTube videos or Reddit threads or books or courses. It does not matter. It only matters that you are learning something every day that is going to move you closer towards becoming the person that you want to become. 2 books that I highly recommend that you read as it relates to mindset and what's happening in the physiology of your brain are The Brain That Changes Itself by Norman Doidge, which is a book on neuroplasticity, which I've done a lecture on in the past, and the study of neuroplasticity will absolutely blow your mind when you start to realize how much you can actually change your brain and change your mind, how much you can expand and strengthen that mind and reorient it towards the kinds of thoughts that are going to be productive for you in your life. And the second is a book called Mindset by Carol Dweck, which is just always recommended by pretty much everybody who talks about mindset. And this book's going to go deep into the dichotomy between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. I highly recommend that you check out both of these books if you're at the stage where you want to deepen your ability to use your mind to create the world that you want to live in. So moving on to the third hue of the model. And I know we're going a bit fast here, but I just want to give you a high-level overview of these topics, and then we're going to go deeper in later videos and share with you some more practical tools, processes, templates, structures, frameworks, etc. to help you execute on these things in your life. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to share with you, as I mentioned, the single equation that will bring you any outcome that you desire in any of these aspects of the hue model. So the emotional world, what does this entail? This entails your emotional intelligence, so being able to understand your emotions, stress management, and interpersonal skills. So this is the realm of being able to recognize what it is that you're feeling, sit with those feelings, transcend those feelings, act in alignment with your values despite those feelings, and regulate your nervous system so that you can interact with yourself and with others in a more positive way. There are so many people who lack emotional intelligence, both internally and in their dealings with others, and it causes so much unneeded stress and anguish in your life. And by working on your emotional world, you're going to find that your relationships, both personally and professionally, begin to blossom in a way that they didn't previously. You're going to find that your levels of stress and anxiety on the day-to-day are going to go down dramatically. And you're going to be able to not only regulate those emotions, but simply understand your emotional self and be able to sit with negative emotions, even when you can't transcend them right away, and not act them out in the world, but rather act in the way that you know that you should, despite the way that you currently feel. Some practical steps for implementing emotional development in your world include regular self-reflection and journaling, gratitude journaling, etc. Emotional awareness practices, or studying things like the emotional guidance scale, which you should go look up and check out. And there are so many different ways ultimately to work through your emotions, whether it's meditative or more externally focused. But the key is that you are implementing steps in your day-to-day that help you better understand and become aware of the emotions that you're feeling, regulate those emotions, and act in harmony with your values, even if that means you're acting out of alignment with how you currently feel. A couple of books that I would recommend that you pick up and read on the topic of emotional health and wellness are The Body Keeps the Score and Emotional Intelligence. So check out both those books if you want to learn more about developing yourself emotionally and learn more about the practices that you can implement in your life in order to improve your emotional stability, strength, and overall health and wellness. And then lastly, in the inner world, you see how we built on this process. We went from the physical to the mental, and once we're dialing in the physical and the mental, we now have the presence, the awareness, and the stability to start thinking about our emotional world. And once we're dialing in the physical, mental, and emotional, we are now ready to be seriously thinking about how all those things play into our spiritual health. So this is your values, this is your ethics, this is your connection to a larger purpose, a connection to yourself, a connection to others, and a connection to God. And so this is a very, very important realm. It's actually more important than the other three. But by dialing in those three, you put yourself in a clearer, more aligned position to develop yourself more spiritually. They say that God gives the best ideas to healthy people, and I truly believe that. So by dialing in the physical, the mental, and the emotional, you put yourself in a position where you can more accurately understand the spiritual side of this world, of this reality, and of your own divinity. And of course, the outcome of this is twofold. On the personal side, greater fulfillment, peace, and purpose. Peace with death, peace with others, peace with yourself, and peace with God. And on the business side, this creates much more aligned business practices. So models that actually feel like they're impacting the customer rather than just taking their money. Missions and visions and values for the business that actually feel like they're making an impact on the world. There's so many ways that your spiritual health are going to impact the quality of your business. Even just the quality of the people that you hire or the interactions that you have with your team are all going to be fueled by your physical, mental, emotional, and ultimately spiritual health that you bring into your business. Some books that I would highly recommend that you read include Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, The Kabbalion by the Three Initiates, and any holy texts or scriptures that fit your belief system or worldview. This is not about putting up or down any religious tradition, worldview, or faith system. This is about diving deeper into the faith that you have or developing faith if you don't have it and allowing that to transform you internally so that you can reflect that back to the world via the things that you do in the world. And I skipped over some of the practical steps, but things like meditation, prayer, community involvement, exploring your personal beliefs, being in nature, joining a church, joining some sort of spiritual community that helps connect you to that which you believe in. These are all practical ways that you can begin to dial in your inner world. So before we move on to the outer world, I want to just say that this is very simple for you to implement. All you have to do is pick some clear goals and outcomes that you want to achieve across these 4 aspects, and then implement into your daily regimen or at least your weekly cadence these practices that will develop you physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Layer them all together, and now you have dialed in an inner world that's going to project into the outer world and have reflected back to you the increase in value, respect, love, and unity that you have been developing individually. And it's why this side of the model is so important, and it's why I included it in this model, because you have to develop as an individual if you expect to develop a business that's going to fill your bank account and also fill your soul. So let's move on and talk about your outer world. Now, this is the place where you take everything that you are building internally and you start to execute on that in the real world, in your business. And there are 3 levels to the outer world. There is the mission, the model, and the mastery. And so let's start by discussing the mission. This is the place where you define the impact that your business is going to have, the core values that you're going to execute from as a business owner and as an organization, the ideal client that you want to serve, their personal hero's journey that they are on, that you are a guide or a support for, and of course the problems that you are solving for those people in the world, right? So this is the place where we take all the ethereal ideas of what we want to do with the business in terms of the people we want to help, the problems that we want to solve for them, and the impact that we want to make on the world through the business, and we crystallize those using things like an ideal client profile, creation, a hero's journey worksheet, vision and values, and defining all these pieces, which inside of my community with group and one-on-one customers, we have all these tools and resources available to help people dial that in. But it also just takes a quick Google to begin answering some of these questions for yourself, for the business. We dial these things in first because they lay the foundation for everything else that we do. And decisions that we make as a business have to be in alignment with the mission that we have decided that we want to go on as individuals and through our business. This is going to lead to the outcome of much clearer business direction and much greater customer impact in their life, and of course, greater personal fulfillment. It also is a great filtering mechanism to know what things to do and what things to not do as it relates to building your business. So don't skip over this. Take the time to really define the person that you want to help with total clarity, the journey that that person is on, that you're injecting yourself into and supporting them through, and the specific problems that you are solving for that person. And do it all from the inner values, the convictions that you want to carry out into the world, whether that's love and strength and impact and unity or freedom and creativity, does not matter. It only matters that you are in alignment with those values that you have defined for yourself and for your business. Some further research on this particular topic would include reading the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek, which I highly recommend to reorient your brain around why businesses should exist and how they should interact with the world. And I couldn't find a great book for this, but go research The Hero's Journey in depth. This is a storytelling tool that's been used for all of human history to create compelling narratives that bring you into the world of the hero. And so go study the hero's journey because, one, you are a hero on your own hero's journey, and two, the customers and clients that you serve, whether you repair somebody's plumbing or you are helping people get shredded in the gym and anything in between, whether you're selling a physical product or a digital service, it does not matter. Your customer is on a hero's journey, and you need to understand that journey intimately so you can insert yourself as a guide, as a mentor, as a resource that will help them get through that journey faster and with less pain and headache. So go research those things, go dial those things in, and figure out the mission of your business. And even if you've already done this before, it's worth doing again because, as they say, every time you read a book, the book doesn't change, but you do. And so the things that you get out of the book change with you. And so go through this process regularly and constantly be iterating on that mission so that you can get closer and closer to further alignment with who you are and the impact that you want to make on the world. Moving on to the model. This is where we take that mission and we actually define what is the A to Z journey, tactically, practically, strategically, that we are going to take our customers on to deliver them the outcome in a way that's profitable for us and impactful for them. So this is the business model that you implement. This is the realm of customer acquisition, conversion strategies, and delivery of the services and products that you are creating for your customers. So the outcomes here are a clear and simple business model that guides your customers and clients through the journey towards positive outcomes that is also efficient and clean and simple enough that you don't have to spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours every week running the system and delivering on those products or services at a very inefficient way. So this is all about what is the strategy that we're going to use, the messaging that we're going to use to attract attention, the marketing. What are we going to do to convert that attention into an actually acquired customer, the sales strategy, and then how are we going to package that? So that's the offer and the delivery vehicle, and how are we going to execute on the delivery of that service or product? And that's the actual delivery model or the fulfillment or the operational side of the business. So develop that A to Z buyer journey from marketing to sales to delivery vehicle and the actual service delivery operational structure so that you can create a very clear and concise picture of how people come to you and come into your organization and ideally retain those customers so you can continue to bring value to them and profit to you. Some further research on this $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi does a great job of helping you cultivate better offers and packaging that delivery of value into a vehicle that is efficient and scalable. And I also like Expert Secrets and .com Secrets by Russell Brunson for some of the broader picture of how the models can play out in the business. And so we've now gone through the first 6 layers of the Hue model, and I'm noticing right now, I'm going to switch to me for a second. I'm noticing right now that there's a couple typos in the slide deck. So you'll have to be kind with me here as I'm just trying to get this information out to you as quickly as I can. And so there's some typos along the way, and you're just going to have to deal with it. So moving on to the last layer of the Hue model, this is the world of mastery. This is where we put all of the pieces together into a coherent package that allows us to execute on everything. This is the systems, the processes, the automation, the goal setting, the KPI tracking, both personally and in the business, that's going to equip you to execute on everything with enough efficiency that you can still get away with working 20 to 25 hours a week on your business and leave the rest of your time for recreation, rest, fitness, wellness, spirituality, your family, whatever it is that you value in your life. So the outcome of defining and implementing mastery in your life and in your business is that you're going to find deeper levels of consistency in your daily, weekly, and periodic systems, tracking, and outcomes, and much lower stress and less cognitive load. So some practical steps here, and we've got templates for all this stuff as well, but you can, again, Google these things. Implement time, work, and productivity management. Implement KPIs and KPI tracking sheets. Use tools like Pomodoros and focus music to help you get into the zone, be more productive. Time block, batch, pre-schedule, put into place morning and evening rituals, weekly planning sessions. These are the tools, the strategies, the processes that are going to help you become more of a master of your time and your energy so you can get more done in less time. And not just you, but your team as well, so that everybody in your world can be more efficient and more effective, leading to higher profits and lower stress while reducing the amount of actual hours that you have to spend working to keep the business growing. Some further research on this topic. I really love both the books Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell and Free to Focus by Michael Hyatt. These are amazing deep dive resources on time management, productivity management, focus, and how to prioritize tasks, all of those things. Lots of these principles you'll find in those books, and I highly recommend that you check them out. And so if we continue forward and we look at putting it all together, right, you see that we've painted this picture, the inner world that swells over into the outer world. We're paying attention to why we're building the business, the outcome that we want from the business, the efficiency of the model that runs the business, and the systems that make the business and the personal life all come together so that you can create more income and impact while decreasing the amount of time, energy, and stress that you have to spend working so that you can pursue other aspects of your life that are in alignment with your values. Again, whether that's health, or that's your family, or that's fitness, or nature, or creative pursuits like music, writing movies, books, all these other things. These doors open up once you buy back your time and create enough income that you can then go pursue those things and have the time to go pursue those things. So the next question, of course, becomes, what happens when I implement this model? That's obvious. More income, impacted freedom, less stress, compromise, and confusion. I should have brought this slide up previously, but I didn't, so you're going to have to deal with it. So the next question becomes here, how do I implement the Hue model? Now, I'm going to do an entire other video diving through this in depth, but I created something called the creation equation, which is an amalgamation of all of my learnings about how to bring ideas that are big and bold, but somewhat ethereal and unclear, into the crystallization of not just in your mind, but into the reality that you're living in the 3D world itself. And that creation equation is the following: clarity plus conviction plus consistency plus community equals creation. And so a super high level understanding of this is as follows. You have to get clear on where you are, where you want to go, and the gap that exists in between so you can develop an action plan for the realization of your goals. It's incredibly important that you get crystal clear on what you want to the deepest level that you possibly can. And so if you look at the 7 hues of the model, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, mission, model, mastery, you have to define clarity in every single one of those areas of what you want, where you are currently, and the gap in between to develop the action plan. I'm working on an assessment that you can take that will actually rank where you are across all 7 hues of the model. That's coming in the next couple of weeks, which will certainly help you get that initial bit of clarity of where you are. And then from there, you can develop what it is that you want and identify the gap in between the two. So clarity. The second one is conviction. There's 2 sides to this. This is your beliefs, which many of us, most of us, almost all of us have tons of limiting beliefs that at their root have to do with not being worthy, not being lovable, not being good enough, and not being able to do the things that we want to do or have the things that we want to have in our life because we feel that it's wrong or immoral or selfish or some other thing. So that's the first side of conviction. The second side of conviction is ensuring that what it is that you're creating is in alignment with your actual values. So the things that you want to see in the world, the way that you want the world to be, is the goal that you're setting in alignment with that. You have to dial in that as well. So you want to create something amazing in your emotional world, get clear on what it is that you want, and then bust through the limiting beliefs that are holding you back and ensure that it's in alignment with your inner convictions. The third one is consistency. So this is, again, 2 parts. One part is establishing the actual systems and processes that carry you day to day, week over week, month over month to implement this in your life. So it could be consistency in when you schedule your meditations or your workouts, consistency in the workout programming that you're putting together, right? Ensuring that you have everything in place to be able to execute on all of that. And then, of course, it's a reminder to stay disciplined and to stay consistent, to build streaks, to build habits, to stick to that which you are convicted of, that you are clear about. And then the last piece is the community side. It's become clear to me that it's nearly impossible to do things in a vacuum without the support of others. And so find an accountability partner, find a buddy system. If you're working on your cardiovascular health and you love to play basketball, start a pickup game and get some guys together. Do it together, because together is always better than doing it alone. This keeps you accountable, it keeps you motivated, it keeps you in a friendly, competitive spirit. Go find a community. In whatever aspect of the Hue model that you're trying to reorient your life in, you need to be clear on what it is that you want. You need to be convicted that you're allowed to have it and that you're able to have it. You need to be consistent in your process and in your execution of that process. And you need to surround yourself with people who can hold you up, hold you accountable, and move you forward faster. Not to mention, community also improves your spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical health just by the very nature of being involved in a community. And so take everything that you've learned here today and begin to get clear on where you are, where you want to go, and the gap that exists in between them in all 7 areas of the Hue model. And I would recommend that you work on the outer world and the inner world concurrently. Begin to dial in yourself as an individual while working on the aspects of your business that need to be reoriented to align them with a true mission, a clear and simple model, and the mastery of the systems that makes the business and your personal life more efficient and effective, so you can make more money and work less at the same time as you are developing yourself as an individual. So now what? Well, first of all, you should subscribe to this channel if you aren't already for more holistic entrepreneurship content. I'm going to be doing videos going deeper on every aspect of the Hue model, going through the tools, the strategies, the frameworks, the templates, the spreadsheets, the things that I have built that have helped me to execute more of this in my life. So stick around for that. I'm going to be doing a video on the creation equation, the attribute framework, and all sorts of amazing other tools and pillars that will help you to implement this model into your life so you can build a better business and a better life at the same time. You can also head to markhuda.com and sign up for my newsletter that I push out usually 1 to 2 times per week with deeper insights, more tactical learnings, and the experiences that I'm gaining as I go. And lastly, if you want help implementing the Hue model in your life, I do work with people on a group level as well as on a one-on-one level. So if that's something that you're interested in, DM me the word Hue, H-U-E, on either Instagram and Facebook, and we can have a conversation about what this model could look like in your life and how I may be able to help you reach your goals, both professionally and personally, through the implementation of the Hue model. So that's it for me today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. It was a bit of a longer and more rambly video. I hope you enjoy this format with the presentation and the tiny little video. I'll switch over here. I should have done this a bunch of times, but I'm still getting used to this new system that I've put together. So thank you for the time and the energy that you've given me today. Please drop a comment below with some of the insights or learnings that you got from this video, as well as any questions that you may have about implementing these various hues of life into your world, and I'd be more than happy to answer those questions here in the comments below on Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, wherever it is that you are watching this video. So until next time, I'm MC Agapě.